Hey, what's going on, guys? So our next lure review is going to be on the Lunkerhunt Fillet lipless crankbait. Lunkerhunt's probably a little bit more well known for their hollow body frogs, but they do have a lineup of hard baits as well, and this is one of them. Tackle Warehouse has, it looks like it's just the one size. It has a length of 3 inches. It has a weight of 3/8 of an ounce, and it's a sinking variable depth crankbait. Now, one of the things that I noticed about this crankbait is what I just said there about it having a length of 3/8 of or 3 inches, but having a weight of 3/8 of an ounce. That's something that is noticeable as soon as you pick it up because it's a pretty light crankbait. I mean, you expect it to have a little bit more heft when you look at it because it is a long crankbait, especially when you look at it up against something like an XR50 from Excalibur that is not as long. It's probably like 2.5 inches long, but this crankbait weighs about a 1/2 ounce to 5/8 of an ounce. And then you have this crankbait that seemingly is bigger. Might not be as tall, but it's seemingly bigger, but it weighs only 3/8 of an ounce. So, and I'm going to go a little bit more into that here in a minute, but I want to talk about how these crankbaits look, because first of all, when you take them out of the package, you guys can remember when I took it out of the Tackle Warehouse package on that video I did a couple months ago. I mean, it's striking how much it looks like a real bait fish. I mean, especially this one with the black back. This is the silver side color. This one really just looks like a shad. You know, there's definitely some care taken into how realistic it looks with the details that were included on this lipless crankbait with the etched scales that are in it, the holographic finish, raised gill plates, three-dimensional holographic eyes. You can see it says LH there. I'm pretty sure that stands for Lunkerhunt. But it definitely does look like a real bait fish. Maybe not so much this one. I mean, the sun perch color here, I suppose it could pass for a bluegill a little bit, but I'll tell you what, the silver side here looks like a real shad there. So that's something that I appreciate as a guy that likes to buy a lot of hard baits. This one definitely looks the part. So I took some notes here while I was out on the water that I want to make sure I go over and hit on all the points. But the first thing that I noticed about this crankbait as well was that it looked to resemble another crankbait, a lipless crankbait that I own, and that's the Owner Cultiva. Kind of a longer, more slender crankbait, or a lipless crankbait, but it's kind of skinny. They're both kind of skinny, and they don't have that really flat area on the top of the head that helps create a lot of that vibration that we're used to in some of the lipless crankbaits that are out there on the market. That flat area that I'm talking about is this area right here that you'll see on the XR50 from Excalibur or on the Red Eye Shad from Strike King. And pretty much just about any lipless crankbait that has a vibration that's worth talking about has that flat area on the head there, and I'm sure that doesn't happen by accident. I'm sure that's there by design to help create some of that vibration. One of the main characteristics of a lipless crankbait is its rattling trait, or the rattling and vibrating traits. Those are probably the two biggest character traits of a lipless crankbait. And this one only has just that small flat area, which in my experience on the water, it does have a minimal amount of vibration. I actually tried throwing it on different rods when I was out on the water to see what kind of feedback I can get coming back through the rod, to see what I can feel in the rod, because it was difficult to see or to feel if there were like weeds on the other line, because there isn't a lot of vibration, and some of that vibration that feeds back to you from the lipless crankbait back into the rod is the stuff that helps you know what's going out there at the end of your line. So like I said, and I said this before, that the vibration is something that is desired, and it's not necessary 100% in every situation, but it is something that I look for in a lipless crankbait. It does have a rattling system. There's a very large open chamber back here, pretty much from the gill plates back. This is just all a large opening here that has 3 small BBs back here. And it has kind of a lighter rattle to it. Here's the Red Eye Shad. And here's the XR50. and it's definitely noticeable as far as that noise. You're definitely not. Sometimes when you're burning a lipless crankbait back to the boat, you can hear it. Not only can you feel it in the end of the rod, but you can hear it coming back, especially when it gets into about 2 feet or less, when it's starting to surface on you. Now there's some things, like I said, that I wanted to go over here. It does have a slow nose down fall to it. Now I've rated crankbaits from slow, medium, fast, and or I'd put like the XR50 at like a medium to medium fast, or I put the LV500 at a fast, or like the Sabile Action First Seeker, I put that out as like a fast. This is a slow. So now I can see where that would be very useful, especially in shallow water applications, or you would have very tall grass coming into or grass that's submerged slightly, maybe like a foot or two of water. You get something that can fall slow into it, and it's not going to get hung up so well. I can definitely see applications where you're going to want to throw something like this up into shallow water. I wouldn't be throwing this crankbait in deep water by any means. In fact, I probably wouldn't throw it in water 10 feet or more, because it just doesn't fall quick enough to where you're going to get that good, you're not going to get that good feedback when you're fishing it. So definitely know your application when you're buying this lure. And like I said, the vibration is fairly light at the end of the line. That was something that I felt was left to be desired. It's definitely something that I look for in a lipless crankbait, because in a vibrating, rattling crankbait, that response that you get from the crankbait itself is something that's going to help you know what's going on. If you're fouled up, or if you got a fish, or if you're coming up onto some timber and you need to slow down and kind of pop it out of there before you bury the hooks into the timber. All those things are going to be things that are going to help you know what's going on. And if you don't have that vibration, and you don't know when the vibration's stopping or going, then you're not going to know that stuff. So that's just my 2 cents about it. Let's see. Now, the bait does not like to be burned. I tried to see how it would act if I threw it out there and I just burned it back as fast as I could. It definitely does not like to be burned. It probably has something to do with the ballast weight that's in here. It is, like I said, a light crankbait, so I'm sure that ballast weight is very small that's in here. And like I said, there's a big open chamber in there, so the weight in there can't be very big. And I'm sure it's not tungsten, so it's not going to be a very heavy weight that's going to keep this bait positioned or oriented in the right direction as you're pulling it through the water. So that's something that you're going to want to be aware of if you're somebody that likes to burn crankbaits, because this crankbait will turn on its side and start to surface on you if you get it going at a fairly quick pace there. Let's see. Vibration is something that the bait likes to be slow. That pretty much sums up my time out on the water with it. Like I said, it is a very nice looking crankbait. I think that for me, the vibration leaves something to be desired, but I think that if you were to throw it in shallow water applications and be aware of the type of vegetation that you're throwing it into, and you're going to fish it slower, or maybe it's a finicky bite and they're targeting shad or bluegill or something like that, maybe a bluegill near a spawning bass, I bet you can get bit fairly easily with this crankbait. Let's kind of go over the colors here. This is that silver side that I was talking about. It's got the black back, silver sides, kind of a holographic foil finish with that pearl kind of silver belly there. There is silver side. The next color here is called Sun Perch. Sun Perch is basically a bluegill. You can see the vertical lines there. Kind of got the emerald green gill plate there. Just a really nice looking color. I mean, it does look like a bluegill, probably not as much as the shad color here. It looks like a shad, but it's definitely a nice looking crankbait. If you're going to throw it up shallow for bedding bass that are going to have bluegill all over the place, I bet I'd be willing to bet money you're going to get bit on this fairly easily. This one's called Sun Perch. All right, guys, this is the review. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, leave a comment below. If you guys have any experiences with it yourself, leave a comment below and let us all know. There was a guy out there, Keeping It Real Fishing, did a wonderful review on this crankbait, and you guys, I'm sure, have all seen it. But if you haven't seen it and you want to know more about this crankbait, I would definitely go check out what he has to say about it. He definitely had some success. His video is about 30 minutes, but the video, don't be intimidated by it, because it is a 30-minute video, but it's split in two. So he's got like the review, or his tabletop review, which is what he calls, in the first 15 minutes, and then the second 15 minutes it's just him fishing with it. So you can go, if you want to know a little bit more about the lure, go and check out his review. All right, thanks guys. If you guys liked the video, please hit the like button down there in the lower left corner, and stay tuned for the next review. Thanks a lot.